when the one who betrayed you is the one you trusted most. He still kissed you goodnight. He still brought home flowers on random Tuesdays. He still said "I love you" without skipping a beat. But behind that routine, he was texting someone else every night. And not just texting, laughing, flirting, sharing thoughts he no longer gave to you. She still lay beside you every evening. She still asked how your day was. She still packed your lunch and folded your shirts just the way you liked. But slowly, almost invisibly, her eyes stopped meeting yours. Her smile faded when you walked in the room. Her laughter belonged to someone else now, someone on the other end of a message you weren't supposed to see. This is what betrayal looks like when it wears the mask of normal life. It doesn't always come crashing through the door in chaos. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it lives right there in your house, sleeps in your bed, and pretends nothing is wrong. People often say the same thing after being cheated on. They say, "I didn't think it would be them. I didn't think they were capable of that. I didn't see it coming." And that's the cruelest part. It's not just the act. It's that it came from the person you let in the deepest. The person you swore would never be your enemy. Cheating is not just a broken promise. It's the breaking of safety. It's the moment you realize that someone can hold your heart in their hands, smile at you like nothing's wrong, and still choose to crush it when you're not looking. A man sleeps with a stranger and says it meant nothing. A woman tells another man her secrets, her fears, her dreams, and says they're just friends. One gives away their body, the other gives away their soul. Which one hurts more? The answer isn't so simple, and you see, not all betrayals look the same. Some are loud and obvious, others are quiet and slow, but they all leave the same taste in your mouth: emptiness, confusion. That aching feeling that the person you trusted most has become someone you no longer recognize. Some people will say men cheat for sex, women cheat for connection. But that's not the full picture. The truth is deeper, more uncomfortable, and far more human than that. Men and women may share the same action, but the emotions behind it, the reasons, the impact, completely different. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look beneath the surface, not just at what men and women do when they cheat, but why they do it, what drives them, what they were missing, what they were running from, and most importantly, how their betrayals are felt in completely different ways, because understanding the difference is not about blaming one side. It's about finally making sense of the silence, the rage, the heartbreak that cheating leaves behind. It's about realizing that sometimes the same wound cuts two people differently. And sometimes the cut is not where you expect it. Let's begin. Cheating is no longer just about the bedroom. Most people think cheating starts and ends in the bedroom, that it's all about sex, a physical act, a one-night stand, a moment of weakness. But cheating today wears many faces. It isn't always about what two bodies do under the sheets. Sometimes, it's about where your attention goes when your partner isn't watching. Sometimes, cheating is emotional. It's the late-night texts, the constant check-ins with someone who isn't your partner, the jokes you only share with them, the stories you save for their ears, the way your heart skips when their name pops up on your screen. Other times, cheating is about time. It's about who gets your energy after a long day, who gets your focus, your thoughts, your most present self. It's who you dress up for without realizing it, who you think about before falling asleep. And then there's cheating by priority. When someone else starts coming first, when you cancel plans with your partner to see them, when you stop noticing the person sitting beside you, but can't wait to hear from the person who isn't. Let's take two situations. In the first, a man sleeps with a woman he barely knows. There's no conversation, no feelings, just physical release. He goes home, guilt-ridden but still convinced he loves his partner. In the second, a woman spends months talking to a coworker every night. They never touch, but she tells him things she hasn't told her husband in years. Her laughter becomes more real with him. Her secrets feel safer in his inbox than in her home. Which one is cheating? Some will say the man because he crossed the physical line. Others will say the woman because her heart had already left. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Both are betrayals. One of the body, one of the bond. And depending on who you ask, one can feel even worse than the other. For some, sex without emotion is unforgivable. For others, sharing emotional intimacy with someone else is the ultimate form of disloyalty. So where is the line? Where does flirting end and betrayal begin? Where does friendship become danger? The answer isn't clear-cut, because men and women often draw that line in different places. Understanding how we define cheating and how differently we react to it is the first step in seeing why the pain hits us so uniquely. Not because we feel more or less, but because we feel differently. And what breaks one heart might not even bruise another. Let's keep digging. Men cheat out of desire, women cheat out of loneliness. Why do people cheat? It's the question everyone asks when the damage is already done, and the answer is never simple. But when we strip it all down, when we look past the excuses and the surface details, a pattern begins to form, not just in what people do, but why they do it. For many men, cheating is rooted in desire, not always for someone specific. Sometimes it's just for something different, something new. It's the chase, the adrenaline, the validation. For some, it's not even about the other woman. It's about feeling powerful again, feeling wanted, feeling in control. Biologically, men are wired to spread their genes. That's not an excuse. It's an instinct, one that evolution hasn't erased, even if society demands loyalty. Many men don't cheat because they're unhappy in their relationship. They cheat because they're unhappy in themselves, because routine dulls their edge, because they're craving attention or adventure or ego boosts they no longer get at home. He might still love you. He might still come home every night, help with the dishes, kiss your forehead, and yet still lie in someone else's bed when opportunity knocks. That's the paradox. Men can cheat and still believe they're in love. Now, women, it's a different storm. When a woman cheats, it's rarely about conquest. It's not about novelty for its own sake. It's about emotional hunger. It's about being invisible in her own home. It's about feeling like she talks, but no one listens. Like she gives, but receives nothing back. A woman doesn't just wake up and betray you. She slowly detaches. She slowly stops reaching for your hand. She stops sharing her day. She stops asking for yours. And by the time she finds comfort in someone else, her heart has already packed its bags and left. That's the twist most people don't expect. A man might cheat and still sleep beside you like nothing happened. A woman cheats only after months, sometimes years of feeling emotionally abandoned. And when she does, the version of her that once loved you is already gone. Men cheat to feel something. Women cheat because they stopped feeling anything. And that's why it hurts so differently. Not just in how it's done, but in what it means. One might be careless and the other conclusive. One may be a stupid mistake, the other a silent goodbye. So when we say men and women cheat for different reasons, we're not excusing either one, but we're simply exposing the truth. That betrayal may look the same from the outside, but on the inside, it tells a story only the heart can read. Let's keep reading. For men, sex is an act. For women, it's a connection. Sex means different things to different people, but more often than not, it means something very different to men and women. For many men, sex is a release, a rush, a physical transaction that doesn't necessarily require emotional investment. It's an experience that can be intense, exciting, even addictive, but it can also be completely separate from love. This is why some men can cheat and still say they love their partner, and they mean it. To them, the act of sex doesn't always touch the deeper part of their heart. It was just a moment, a spark, a thrill, something that made them feel alive again, even if only for a night. To a man, sex can be a reset button, a way to escape stress, boost confidence, or forget his failures. It's not always about connection. It's often about sensation, about winning, about control. But for most women, sex isn't just about what happens in the body. It's about what happens before and after. It's about the tone of your voice, the attention you give, the way you listen, the way you see her. Not just look at her. Women, more often than not, need emotional safety to feel physically open. If she lets you in, it means something. If she shares her body with someone else, it's not just skin to skin, it's heart to heart. And here's the image that says it all. He goes looking for a feeling. She goes looking to be felt. He wants intensity. She wants intimacy. He escapes through the body. She reaches through the soul. This is why emotional neglect can be just as damaging as physical distance. Because for a woman, if the emotional bond is gone, the desire to connect fades with it. She stops craving sex not because she's cold, but because she no longer feels safe, desired, or seen. This is also why women are often more selective in their betrayal. When a woman cheats, it usually means she's already connected to someone on a deeper level. The sex is rarely casual. It's meaningful even if it's misguided. And this difference explains why cheating for each gender carries such a different weight, not just in what it is, but in what it means. For men, sex can be a moment. For women, it's often a message that something vital has been missing. And if you don't hear that message in time, someone else just might. Let's move forward. The pain after betrayal. Men rage, women break. Betrayal doesn't feel the same for everyone. It doesn't cut the same way, and it doesn't leave the same kind of scar. Men and women might experience the same event, but their emotional responses often come from two very different places. When a man finds out he's been cheated on, his first instinct is rarely sadness. It's rage, not always loud, but always burning. His pride takes the first hit. His ego feels crushed. He doesn't just ask, "Why did she do this?" He asks, "Wasn't I enough?" What does he have that I don't? To many men, cheating feels like being dethroned, replaced, humiliated. He feels like he lost something that was his to protect. And instead of grieving, he fights. He throws things. He shuts down. He walks out. Not because he's cold, but because no one ever taught him how to hurt out loud. Anger becomes his armor. Now look at the woman. She's been betrayed too, but her reaction is quieter. She doesn't scream. She withdraws. She questions everything about herself. She doesn't ask, "What's wrong with him?" She asks, "What's wrong with me? Was I not beautiful enough? Did I stop being interesting? Was I too much or not enough? Her pain goes inward. It doesn't explode, it implodes. You might never see her fall apart, but inside, she's unraveling. Every memory she trusted now feels like a lie. Every word he said feels poisoned. He feels disrespected. She feels discarded. He sees the betrayal as a threat to his worth as a man. She sees it as evidence that she's no longer worthy of love. And that's the core difference. For men, betrayal attacks identity. For women, it attacks value. So when people ask, why does cheating hurt so much? It's not just about the betrayal itself. It's about what it touches in us. One loses his sense of power. The other loses her sense of worth. One shouts into the night, trying to reclaim control. The other sits in silence, trying to remember who she was before the pain. Different wounds, different responses, but the same lonely question echoing inside both. Why wasn't I enough? Let's keep going. When society teaches men to conquer and women to forgive, we don't just learn about love from experience. We learn it from culture, from the stories we grow up with, the movies we watch, the jokes we hear, the way people react when a man cheats versus when a woman does. When a man cheats, there's often a shrug. He messed up and he made a mistake. Boys will be boys. He let temptation win. There's almost a script for it, one that gives him a way back into the relationship, and often a free pass. People say things like, it didn't mean anything, or at least he came clean, or that's just how men are. But when a woman cheats, the tone shifts. She's judged harder, colder, sharper. She's called names, accused of being heartless, manipulative, immoral. People don't ask what she was missing. They ask what kind of woman could ever do that. Society often treats male infidelity as a flaw. It treats female infidelity as a character issue. Men are told to chase, to dominate, to keep options open. They're praised for having experience, even if that experience includes betrayal. Women, on the other hand, are taught to be the glue, to forgive, to hold the family together even when it hurts. And if they step outside those lines, even once, they're labeled forever. Here's the twist. Everyone assumes women cheat less. But is that the truth or just what we're more comfortable believing? Because studies show that the gender gap in cheating is closing fast. In many age groups, women are catching up to men, quietly, carefully. And maybe it's not that women are more loyal. Maybe they're just better at hiding it. They hide it not because they're sneaky by nature, but because the punishment for getting caught is far worse. He gets called weak. She gets called broken. He gets another chance. She gets a reputation. This double standard doesn't just shape how we see each other. It shapes how we see ourselves. And that's the deeper problem. It's not just about gender. It's about culture, about a system that teaches men and women different rules, then punishes them when they break them, or worse, when they follow them too closely. Understanding cheating isn't just about who did what. It's about seeing the invisible lessons we've all been taught and asking which ones are worth unlearning. Let's keep going. The silent signs that someone may be cheating. Cheating doesn't always announce itself with lipstick on a collar or a late-night text left open on a screen. Most of the time, it creeps in quietly. It changes the air in the room before it ever shows its face. You start to feel something is off. Not wrong, just different. They begin to pull away in small ways. Conversations that once flowed now feel forced. Their routine shifts, but they brush it off. They stay out later, but can't explain why. They seem distracted, distant, even irritated, but you can't quite name what changed. They stop asking how your day was, or they still ask, but they don't really listen. They guard their phone like it holds state secrets. They take calls in other rooms, and they laugh at messages you're not allowed to see. Touch becomes rare. Eye contact becomes shorter. You go to bed together, but it no longer feels like you're in the same place. These are the early signs. And no, they don't always mean cheating, but they do mean disconnection. And disconnection is often where betrayal begins. So what should you do when your gut whispers what your mind doesn't want to hear? You don't accuse. You don't attack. You pay attention. You ask questions not to corner them, but to understand. You create space for honesty instead of fear. Because if someone is slipping away, shouting won't bring them back, but silence won't stop it either. You watch not just what they do, but what they stop doing. Not just what they say, but what they no longer care to share. And most of all, you listen not just to them, but to yourself. Because here's the hardest truth of all: cheating isn't always a sudden act. Sometimes it's the absence of intimacy, the loss of attention, the emotional vacancy that grows slowly, day by day. Betrayal doesn't always come with a kiss or a lie. Sometimes it lives in the quiet moments, the empty spaces, the love that used to be there and now just isn't. Because cheating doesn't always live in what they do. Sometimes it lives in the space they leave behind in your soul. Let's keep going. Heal or let go. After betrayal, there's one question that echoes louder than all the rest. Should I stay or should I leave? People will offer advice. Some will say forgiveness is strength. Others will swear you should never take them back. But here's the truth: there is no one-size-fits-all answer. There is no universal rule for healing. Because healing is not about doing what's expected, it's about doing what's honest. And honesty starts with facing yourself, not just the other person. Ask yourself, why did they cheat? Not just what they did, but why. Did they lose their way? Did they fall into weakness, regret it, and want to fix it? Were they honest after? Or did you have to dig for the truth? Do they show up with remorse or excuses if the betrayal came from confusion, pain, a moment of poor judgment, and they're fighting to rebuild? Maybe there's something worth saving. Maybe. But if they checked out long ago, if their eyes no longer search for yours, if their words feel empty and their presence feels forced, then what are you holding on to? A relationship can survive betrayal, but only when both people are truly present. When the love is still alive beneath the damage, when both are willing to bleed a little for the repair. But staying just because you're afraid to start over, that's not love. That's fear wearing a familiar face. You don't heal by pretending it didn't happen. You don't heal by stuffing your pain down to make room for theirs. And sometimes, healing isn't staying and working through it. Sometimes healing is walking away. Sometimes letting go is the kindest thing you can do for them and for yourself. Because holding on to someone who already let go of you is not loyalty. It's self-abandonment. Letting go isn't weakness. It's clarity. It's choosing peace over pieces. So whatever you choose, make sure it's a decision rooted in truth, not pressure, not fear, not habit. Sometimes, healing means staying, and sometimes, healing begins the moment you decide to stop breaking yourself to keep someone else whole. Let's finish this. Betrayal isn't the same, but it always leaves a deep cut. Cheating is not just an act, it's a message. And that message means different things depending on who sends it and who receives it. What hurts the most isn't always what they did. It's why they did it. It's the difference between a reckless mistake and a silent departure, between a cry for help and a declaration that they've already moved on. Men and women may cheat in similar ways, but the reasons behind it and the emotions attached to it often couldn't be more different. For men, cheating can be a way to escape, to feel alive, to chase something that makes them forget what they're missing. For women, it can be a quiet surrender, a response to being unseen, unheard, untouched for too long. And that's why the pain left behind feels so personal. Because cheating doesn't just break trust, it challenges your understanding of love itself. It forces you to look at everything differently. The memories, the laughs, the promises. You start to wonder which moments were real, and which ones were already fading while you weren't looking. But maybe, just maybe, the point of understanding these differences isn't to judge, it's to humanize. Because both sides hurt, both sides bleed, both sides carry shame and regret, even if they show it in different ways. So instead of asking who cheats more or who cheats worse, maybe we should ask what kind of love we're creating and whether it gives people reasons to stay present. And now, I'll leave you with a question that only you can answer. Have you ever been betrayed? And if you have, what hurt more? The action itself or the way their eyes no longer looked at you the same? If this spoke to something inside you, share it. Leave a comment or send it to someone who might need these words today. Because the pain of betrayal is universal. But so is the need to feel seen, understood, and maybe finally heard.